Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Middle Class Rockstar. It's number 36. I hope your quarantine is going well. I hope your family is safe. I hope you're getting some stuff done. I hope you're making some positive life changes. And I hope all is good. I know all the musicians, myself included, are really wanting to get back out and perform real soon. But that's not going to happen, so I hope everybody's making the best of it. I've been doing lots of home recording. I've been doing work on the podcast, moving to every week release instead of every other week, doing some producing. I made a church package this week, a prayer package for that has a bunch of different original songs in it that can be used for live streams at churches. That was a fun project, and getting that out and distributed a little bit. But things you wouldn't think you'd be doing to make money, but there it is. Anyway, my guest today is Float Like a Buffalo. They're a funk rock outfit out of Denver, Colorado, right here. They put out their first full length in early 2019 and have done a whole lot since then. They're one of those bands that even if you haven't heard them, you've heard of them. They're just kind of out there a lot. It's a 7-piece band. They have horns. They have the whole thing, auxiliary percussion. And they've played some pretty incredible stages locally, including Red Rocks, Levitt Pavilion, the Bluebird Theater, the Gothic Theater, Marquee Theater, the Black Sheep. They've done them all. They were also crowned Best Funk Band in Denver Westword's 2019 Music Awards. This is the most people I've ever had on the podcast. For my people listening on YouTube, yes, there will be video, just not here in the monologue. As soon as the interview starts in a few minutes, there will be video so you can see everybody. For people listening on Apple Podcasts or SoundCloud or wherever you're listening, this is an episode where I'd highly suggest watching it on YouTube. Of course, if you're driving and you can't do that, that's fine. But I'm interviewing 5 different people at once, and it's nice in that sort of a setting to be able to place the face, so to speak, and see who's talking. Now, I have them all introduce themselves at the beginning, and so you can kind of tell their voices apart a little bit, and I do my best to ask questions to certain individuals, but it just didn't always work out that way, right? Somebody jumps in, or I have a question and I don't know who's best suited to answer it, so I let them decide that for themselves. So anyway, if you have the ability to watch it on YouTube, this is a good YouTube episode. This is our 3rd filmed episode. We're using Zoom screen record, and it's been working out well. This episode is also a part 2 of sorts to last week's conversation with Alyssa Montano and Sarah Schul. Alyssa and Sarah are both the brains and brawn behind Rocky Mountain Virtual Music Festival, which started as an outlet for musicians and fans alike stuck in quarantine. Alyssa is dating Luke Story, the sax player in Float Like a Buffalo, who is not present for this interview, and he also just had a 30th birthday, so happy birthday, Luke. Sarah is the band manager and is dating Corey Pierman. He is present in this interview and is also rocking a commendable Corin stash. As always, if you enjoy the episode, please rate and review. The best things you can do are 5-star ratings and reviews on Apple Music, as well as subscribing to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/aSidow, SYDOW19. And the links are also in the show notes. I don't have the entire band with me. It's a huge band, but Phil is present. Jason, Garrett, James, and Phil, they're going to tell you more about themselves in the episode. What else? They are premiering their Red Rock set at the Rocky Mountain Virtual Music Festival this Friday, which would be, I believe, May 1st, if you're listening to this right when it comes out. They're showing their set during the Rocky Mountain Virtual Music Festival, I believe 3:30 to 4:05, but don't quote me on that. If you go to Rocky Mountain Virtual Music Festival's Facebook or Instagram, you can find all of that info there. They also have a new single coming out that they recorded in quarantine titled Sunday Afternoon. And we're going to be premiering that track at the end of this episode, a world premiere of Sunday Afternoon, so stay tuned for that. I also want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, PQ Mastering. Patrick at PQ Mastering puts the finishing touches on this podcast. And for any of your audio or restoration needs, you can go to www.pqmastering.com. Also, Narrator Music is our newest sponsor, and they provide simple and affordable music licensing for sync. So if you have a wedding and you need a certain style of music, say an Irish jig, you can go to narratorrf.com and type in Irish music, and something will come up, and you can buy a simple, affordable license, and then you can have rights to use that song for whatever you wish. Okay, enough of that. Let's jump into it. Here's my interview with some of the members of Float Like a Buffalo. Okay, there goes that. And there goes that. What's happening, select members of Float Like a Buffalo? How you guys doing?
Good.
We're trying this Zoom thing out for only the third episode, and this is a whole lot of squares on the screen, so it should be fun. So starting off, I've already introduced you guys in the monologue a little bit, but let's just go around so everybody can place the face, give your name, and your role in the band. And we'll start in my top left with Phil.
What's up? I'm Phil. I play drums in the band.
Phil Pleckham. And Corey.
Hey, I'm Corey Pierman. I am a rhythm guitar and lead singer.
Boom. Let's hit Jason and Garrett over there.
You first. I'm Jason Klukies. I play bass. I'm Garrett Acton. I play auxiliary percussion. I'm the butter on the sauce.
On the sauce?
I like that.
That makes no sense.
And James.
I'm James. I play lead guitar.
All right, cool. And you guys have been a band, what, for about 4 years or so? Is that right? 4 or 5?
Technically, Garrett and I started it about 6 years ago. Jason's been with us about 4 or 5 years now.
About five.
Been with
About
us
five
for
for me.
And James has been with us for about 3 months.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
but it literally feels like 2 weeks.
And there's what, 7 of you total?
Yep.
Wow. And multiple instruments, and you guys are like a funk rock outfit. Talk about how you guys got started. Whoever's been here the longest, talk about how the band got formed. And
Go ahead, Baby G.
All right. So basically started, there was a couple of us in a band beforehand. It was me, Jason, and Evan. We were in a band called Shredding Heights. And it kind of fell apart. And then I was working at a place called The Tavern. Corey was a bartender there. And he wanted someone to jam with, so I was that guy. So we were a little 2-piece band called The Shower Curtains. We decided we could probably do something a little more. So we did, and half those members kind of quit or fizzled out. And then I told them I have 2 people that could play, and they're a package deal. So Evan happened first, then Jason, and then we kind of started frolicking around from after that. Met Phil off of Craigslist, and
that's not dangerous. It worked out though.
It was the least dangerous, most welcoming thing we've ever witnessed. If you ever want to meet a best friend, go on Craigslist. And so it kind of happened from there, and after that, like, you kind of just figure out where you're at. You dip your toes in the water, you see what's working, what's not. Sometimes feelings might be hurt, but sometimes they're not. Like, it's just kind of like where you want to go as a unit, and that's kind of what happened from there. It started from nothing, and it kind of went from there.
So when you say that, see if what works and what doesn't, are you saying that you've kicked a few members out along the way as well?
Yes, unfortunately, that is true. We've had to, and it's always the most awkward thing, but it's, I don't know, it just kind of happens in the way that it does. Like, you kind of got to do what you got to do, because being in a band is like it's a unit. You flow, as a team, and like you want to have that moment where you continue flowing. And
got to maintain the chemistry flowing in the right direction.
Unfortunately, at that point in time, that chemistry wasn't there, so we did have to kick some people out, and then we had to bring some people in so we could rebuild. It's like a move people out, then rebuilding process, which made us, in my opinion, stronger.
Absolutely. And Corey, since you have the thickest mustache, I trust you the most.
Smart move.
Yeah, yes. In a big band with as many people as you guys have, there's bound to be some conflict. Is there some conflict in the band? Is there certain members that really go at it, or tell me the dirt?
Well, once a week, Jason and I have to put on bikinis and get in a Jello pit and wrestle. Just to get
Oh my gosh!
I mean, we've all 7 of us probably butted heads one time or another. It's never been anything like serious where it's gotten physical. I mean, we've had our arguments. I guess if I had to say more than anybody, it's probably Jason and I. I guess we kind of butt heads a little bit more than anybody else does, but it's because we're both passionate about it, and that's why.
In a brotherly way.
Yeah, we don't hold grudges. None of us do. Like, we all realize how passionate and how into this we are, and to get 7 people to agree on one thing is pretty much near impossible. So there's going to be some times where there's disagreements or there's, even arguments, but it's never gotten physical before. We all love each other like brothers, and, it's like we're 7 brothers. We have our arguments and that's it. We just move on to it and hug it out, and we're good.
I love it. So I want to talk about some of the shows you guys have done locally. You've done a lot of different things. You've gotten to play at Levitt Pavilion. You've gotten to do a Red Rock set. You've done the Bluebird and the Gothic and a bunch of stuff. James, I'm going to go down to you for this one. What's been some of the coolest shows you guys have done? James,
Hey,
the coolest shows you guys have done locally.
Well, unfortunately, I wasn't able to be a part of the Red Rocks or the Bluebird or anything like that. But we did some really awesome shows in like Cortez and Del Norte, and the Alley here in Littleton. But and Colorado Springs, as a matter of fact, Black Sheep, great, all really good turnouts. So some of the other guys did the bigger shows, so they probably have more input than I do.
Who's done the bigger shows? Am I going to
James
Phil for
just
that
started with us 3 months ago, and
Right.
a month and a half of that we've been in quarantine, so he really only got to do 5 or 6 shows with us.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, we've gotten to the point now where we've really started moving through all of the really big, all the really big venues in Colorado. We're really lucky to be able to do that. Red Rocks was a really big thing, and then selling out the Bluebird was like a really fun thing too, just because we've all been there so many 100,000 times, and me and Garrett actually work right next to the Bluebird, so that was kind of cool to finally have our own night there instead of just watching everything else happen. The Gothic has been really awesome for us too. That's every time that we've played there has just been amazing. And actually, funny story too, the first time that we got to play at the Gothic was one of the opening sets was when we were an opening set, and that was for James's other band that he was playing with. And now he's playing with us, so it kind of all came back around in a big circle.
That's great. Where did the name come from? Is it float like a buffalo, sting like a bee, and you messed up the animal? How did this come
Sting
about?
like a more aggressive buffalo.
No, it came about, I think Garrett and I were the only 2 that were in the band at the time. We were kind of sitting around my apartment trying to think of names. And I'm a big Jack White fan, so I was like, I got it, I know it. It's Float Like a Buffalo. And he said, yeah, really good. And I went to find the song, and I couldn't find the song, and it turns out it's a Dead Weather song called Cut Like a Buffalo. But Cut Like a Buffalo didn't really work as a band name, so we decided to stick with Float Like a Buffalo. And we weren't sure about it at first. We were like, this is going to be dumb. This is going to be stupid. Nobody's going to like it. But it turns out people really dig the name, and it's unique, and we didn't have to fight anyone for it, so it just kind of was easy.
Well, we also thought about the acronym. We were afraid
We
of the
did, yeah.
acronym. FLAB.
Flab. Right. What you know what? It's one of those names where I feel like even people that haven't heard of you guys, when the name is mentioned, they're like, yeah, I think I know that band. You know, it seems like one of those familiar names that no one has. I think you guys did a really good job on that.
Definitely sticks in the memory.
I guess unique is a nice way of saying it, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's a really nice way. I like it.
It is unique. There's not really anything else out there like it. I mean, flow like a butterfly, sting like a bee, but that's Muhammad Ali, so nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
We don't fight that good.
So you guys just had a tour, or were supposed to have a tour, and I think you even got a couple days in, and had to go home. Any of you can answer this, but what was that like, planning a whole tour, spending a lot of time on it, and then getting out on the road and being told, hey, it's all over, you got to turn around and go back?
Go ahead, Phil.
I mean, it was crushing, you know. We kind of heard a lot of things about coronavirus, you know, kind of the week heading up to tour, and there really wasn't that much going on. And then, like you said, about 3 days in, or I think it was 2 days in, South by Southwest canceled, and we were supposed to be not at the official South by Southwest, but around with all the other side shows and everything. And once that canceled, it kind of seemed like everything else kind of just fell like dominoes after that. We woke up on the third day, kind of decided if we were going to keep on going, because we were looking at the news and everything that was canceling. And on the morning of the third morning, we had all decided that we were going to go. We were going to keep on going until somebody told us that we couldn't do it anymore.
It was a pleasant conversation.
What's that?
Because like some of us wanted to continue and some of us didn't. But we all came to an agreement afterwards that it really wouldn't work out. Like some of us were gung ho about it, and some of us were like, shoot, we can't continue doing this because who could we affect by it? It was like a weird conundrum because we all know that we were all gung-ho about it, but some of us were a little more gung-ho about it than the others, but we all had to like kind of connect and like decide to do something that would be better for everyone else around us, not us.
Well, it all kind of came about that third morning. We woke up and we decided we were going to head down to Texas for the rest of our shows, and we went into the grocery store down there in Del Norte, Colorado, and got all of our supplies for the next, few days that'll last us. By the time we were done grocery shopping, it had changed from we're going to Texas to we're going home. So it was about an hour that everything changed.
We had about 5 shows cancel in about 6 or 7 hours or something like that from the beginning of the day till when we decided that we were going to go home. So,
well, I know there was this weird period of 3 or 4 days where everyone went from this shit's not a big deal, we're going to power through it, to oops, it is. I mean, and I think like a lot of people did that right at the same time, and I know a lot of musicians
we were totally on that train of thought. We were trying to just be as persistent as we could. We were going to do anything we could to not call it, and it really took a full week of shows canceling right in our face for us to even think about it and get on the wagon to saying, all right, we got to go home. So we were totally like, it was balls to the wall. We were ready to go, and you can't control something like 5 shows cancel in 3-hour period. And at that point, financially, and we had to cut our losses at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and my band was supposed to be in Canada from March 28th through April 18th or something. And of course, that whole run got canceled.
Right.
And hopefully we'll make them up in October. But so what markets were you guys going to hit? And how many of those markets had you guys hit before? Or was this a first time for most of them?
First time for pretty much everywhere we were playing. First time in cities. We were going to go down through Cortez and Del Norte, Colorado, Albuquerque, We were doing, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, over to New Orleans, to Pensacola, to Atlanta, Nashville, and then back to like St. Louis and Omaha and Lincoln. And it was going to be our first time in all those.
Where were you guys playing in Lincoln?
Where were we playing in Lincoln?
B-Bar?
Oh, okay.
Or the basement. Or it was called the Storm Cellar, or was it B-Bar?
Yeah, the Storm Cellar. In the basement was
Cellar.
Gotcha.
And we kept holding out hope that those last three, St. Louis, Omaha, and Lincoln would be okay because they're kind of in middle America and not hugely heavily populated areas. But it didn't happen. They all canceled on us too. And then right after that happened was when the stay-at-home order came through. So we decided we'd get one more live show in before it came down. So we all woke up early and went over to X Saloon and hung out with Ken over there. And did one last live stream, and that was the last time we've all seen each other.
Man, as for so many bands right now, but you guys have been doing the online thing, and we can get more into that in a little bit. But I know you guys have been doing some online stuff, and through the Rocky Mountain Virtual Music Festival, which was started by Sarah and Alyssa, which have a very close relationship with the band.
Yeah.
But
they're the band moms.
They're the band
champions.
moms.
What they do, they blow my mind every single day with their tenacity, as which like goes into like how they promote this stuff. It's mind blowing. Sarah and Alyssa, they don't quit, and they just continue on doing what they do, and it's the tenacity. I'll go back to that. It's impressive.
Well, if for our listeners, you can go back and listen to the last episode, and we talk about Rocky Mountain Virtual Music Festival for the whole episode, and there's just so many great things that they're doing for the community, and you guys came up quite a bit in the conversation too. So for our listeners, be sure to go back and check that one out. Going back to the tour a little bit, when you're going into markets that you haven't been to before, that can be kind of.
Lost them.
Oh, did you lose me?
No, I'm here.
Oh, they might have gone out.
Okay, good.
We're back.
We're back. When you guys tour into markets that you haven't been to before, that can be kind of tricky. What did you guys do marketing-wise? And unfortunately, you weren't able to see it through, but what did you guys do marketing-wise to prepare for playing in all these markets that were new for you all?
I would like to say specifically, Sarah, in terms of planning the thing, more in terms of booking inquiries, we were talking to local bands and local people who were connected as opposed to just talking to venue owners and venue bookers and things like that. So we were able to kind of come to terms with some of these local bands and saying, hey, we don't have a great draw out here. We're not sure what we can do. And these guys were willing to say, hey, well, we'll throw on a kick-ass show and throw you guys on the bill. There'll be people there. And so a lot of the shows ended up being, at better venues with good bands that seemed like people were going to be coming out to this thing. Obviously, we never got to find out, but it was looking very promising from the start.
And you guys were also taking a couple other local acts with you on a few of these dates, correct?
Yeah, we had a Dream Feed and Ollie McCracken we were supposed to have them up through Austin. We ended up having them for the first two, and then everybody had to go. But yeah, we had Dream Feed and Ollie McCracken, and those guys they were a lot of fun to hang out with for a couple days. We were really looking forward to spending a whole week with them. We were going to be all stuck in the same house in Austin together, and we were pretty excited to be doing that. But unfortunately, we gotta wait.
Right, absolutely. James, we miss you down there.
Sorry, I had to mute my mic. There was just too much feedback going on there.
No, that's okay. You joined the band most recently. Where were you before this, and what got you on board with these guys? Were you friends beforehand?
Oh, absolutely. Kind of what Phil was saying beforehand. My old band, 21 Taras, we were playing the Gothic, and we actually invited Float to be the opening act, and I think that's kind of where the whole friendship kind of started. But yeah, no, I was doing my thing with 21 Taras, and we had just played the Bluebird like a week after Float did, and it was a relatively pretty successful show. and we weren't really doing anything after that show. It was like early January, and nothing was really going on. And Float needed a guitar player because Evan unfortunately couldn't. And I jumped right on board. The one thing I really love about playing music is, you know, doing the road trips and touring and stuff. I find that really fascinating. I really love being able to wake up in a van in Walmart in Iowa. You know? I just find that awesome.
If you wake up in the Walmart, that means you had too much tequila.
So,
or just enough.
Or just enough. If that's your goal.
Depends on what you're trying to do, I guess.
So you guys have become a pretty well-known act locally. I would say most people in the scene know Float Like a Buffalo, and the fan base is getting bigger and bigger. What have you guys done? I mean, the touring, obviously you're starting to do, but what else have you guys done to start to think globally and getting to that next level? And Phil, I'll go up to you for this one.
I think, I mean, now more than ever, online presence is just really all we have to go off of. So the first time that we got to do anything else, we just decided that we were going to record another single in quarantine because we could, and we all had different mics and everything in our own setups in our own houses. So we just kind of put something together, and then luckily our trombone and keyboard player, Corey Meyer, mixed and mastered the entire thing. And so now that's coming out on Spotify. The video already came out for it, which is all of us on our own separate places. But that'll be coming out on Spotify in a couple of weeks here. And just really focusing on things that we can do that aren't live shows. I mean, there's tons of different different pathways that you can go down, whether it's YouTube or just Spotify or having Zoom meetings with fans or live streams or whatever you can do, you know, to kind of keep people coming back to you and remembering that you're still a band that wants to do things with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what have you guys, you recorded a song in quarantine, which is really cool. It's nice that everybody in the band has another skill that they do really well, right? To have somebody be able to mix it and master so you don't have to outsource. What has changed in quarantine over the last 6 weeks or however long it's been? What has changed for you guys that's going to be a permanent change when you're able to go out and perform live again?
Corey's facial hair is definitely going to be a permanent change, I think.
Starting there.
Dude, you're beautiful. You're beautiful. I love it.
Stop it. You're flirting with me. Jason, you had an idea.
Well, you know, I was thinking of something before he said things that will change permanently. You know, I hope nothing changes permanently. Things that have changed, things that have affected us, I guess, as a band really close to home is that we're based on live performance, you know, and yeah, we take a lot of pride in our studio tracks, and we take a lot of pride in the music we record and the music we write and the music we make. But where we shine, I think the greatest is in a live performance setting. And so that's been the biggest challenge so far through this thing, is that, you know, we don't have that same opportunity to make a personal connection face to face, you know. And so I think that's been the biggest challenge, at least.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And I feel the same way. I know there's a lot of people that don't need to play live, but for me, that's everything. I need to go out and do it. But I also think there's been some good in the quarantine, in that I've been tracking at home, and I've had all kinds of time to do that. And I think that's a cool thing. And I've thought, well, shit, when we're back out doing it again, I'd like to make sure to keep doing this as much as I am.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, I started writing again. I was focused so much on writing songs for the band that, you know, my original writing style was a little bit more folk music,
Right.
Little kind of, you know, storytelling. And I kind of went back to that and wrote a couple new songs. I also started my own radio show, which is going to be permanent. But I'd like to keep writing, you know, stuff for Float Like a Buffalo, obviously, but we have, you know, 6 other guys who also like to write songs in this band. And, you know, I think I like it that way because it's more of a collective idea. But and they're not the same style of songs that everybody writes. Beef writes totally different than I do, that writes totally different than Garrett does. And we just kind of find a way to make it float like a buffalo style. So.
And do you guys co-write it all, or do you individually bring songs to the band and arrange them together?
It's kind of both.
Say we kind of co-write, but the way we co-write involves everyone coming in. Because we got James bringing some hot fire too. We got, I don't know, we kind of it's a mix. Like we have an idea, but our idea is open enough for everyone to throw their own interpretation to the song, and that's how we create songs. Like no one comes in with this is how the song should be. It comes in as I have this part, and I would like you guys to create parts around it to make this part better.
Right. That's great that you guys can all collaborate like that and get along, and everybody can write. I think that's a rare thing in a big band.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes heads clash though, which is important, but it does happen. Sometimes we have ideas and we want something to go a certain way specifically, and sometimes we can't always do that, but we're pretty democratic when it comes to writing songs. We'll try something that someone wants to do. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But we're going to try it. And it's important that we do so because everyone gets their point across. Sometimes we'll be like, we don't want to do that. But we'll try and we're like, oh, actually, that worked kind of pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and along those lines, what are your guys' influences? Because I imagine that's where sometimes disagreements will come with an arrangement, is you guys obviously all have different influences and you all come together on a few influences. So what are some unique influences that you guys have, and what are some that you all share?
Funk.
Yeah, we definitely all share the funk thing. We're all big funk music. I think where we differ though is sing styles, and I think what sounds right to us. Like I grew up a big classic rock fan, The Doors, Zeppelin, The Who, and then as far as lyrics go, like my biggest lyrical inspiration is Tom Waits. And it's hard to mix Tom Waits with The Doors, but we find a way to make it work. And like Garrett's kind of a little bit of a heavy metal fan, and Jason likes polka music, and Phil is no, but we all have our favorite band. Luke is a big wub wub electronic fan, and he's pretty much the only one in the band that's a fan of that. But he brings stuff to us, and we make it work. It still ends up working. So regardless of how different our inspirations are, that's one of my favorite things about this band, is that we can all come together and make it our own sound with different influences.
And to add to that too, sorry, briefly, bringing James into the equation too was the right move for us. We were trying to toe that line between a lot of different genres. So when we were looking for a new guitar player in James, we weren't looking for, a real kind of jazzy, kind of soft, kind of alternative player. Like we wanted a rocker. And so James, coming from where he came from with his previous band, we knew he's a shredder. We're looking for a shredder. And so sometimes those different styles are strengths as well.
Absolutely.
He's a rocker. 21 Torres, they rock the fuck out. Pardon my sorry. Link that out. But we needed a hard rocker and whatnot, and provided that, and it's good to have James in tow and being ready to rock.
I love it.
Go
ahead, James.
Licks.
What was that?
I said I'll stab anybody with my guitar licks. So.
What kind of axe do you play? What's your weapon of choice?
For the longest time, I was doing PRSs, and then a little later, I was doing my Gibson Les Paul, and then I recently just bought a Stratocaster. And what was kind of funny was I bought this probably a few months before Float contacted me. I'm like, well, Float is a funk band, and Stratocasters go great with funk music. Why would I? So I've been kind of playing with that more lately. So
That's great. The Strat, man, you can't go wrong with the Strat, right? That's classic.
Oh, well, it's best of both worlds. I love the Strat, but I also love having that Les Paul for a beefier tone. So I feel like I'm probably gonna be bringing 2 guitars with me to shows now. So
And
What are
do
you
stay-
playing?
Who?
You.
Me? Are you looking at me? I can't tell where you're pointing. You know what? I've become a Les Paul guy, very much so. But I have a Telly too that I like to play, and I do a lot of lap steel. So,
Ooh.
so that's fun. But you know, but that you could ask me in 6 months, and I might be like, yeah, Les Paul suck. You know, I don't know.
You might upset some people with that
Hey,
kind of talk. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I would never say that. I would never say that. Who would you guys? What's the dream bill? There's a lot of different influences, but you guys do definitely have some roots in funk and rock and roll. If you guys could go on tour with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be?
The Wiggles.
The Who?
It's tough.
For me, it'd be the Motet.
That would be awesome.
To
I think-
start.
The dream bill would be Float Like a Buffalo, the Motet, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
And you guys would headline.
Yeah, of course. Right.
Red Hot Chili Peppers would open.
Yeah.
Down to open.
And
Yeah.
would Flea have his shirt off for the concert?
Does he play any other way?
Yeah,
Not
I
the
don't
Chili
know.
Peppers without it.
Oh no, Flea would be wearing a onesie, as he
No,
normally
he'd be
has.
wearing a tube top.
Wearing a wrestling singlet.
Oh my
Corey
god.
Pierman
might be butt-ass
actually draws a
naked.
lot of lyrical influence from Corey Pierman too. So that's a whole different thing.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you guys ever get that bill put together, let me know. I'll be there. That sounds rad.
That'd be
So,
sweet.
so tell
Sarah,
me
if you're
about
still
this.
listening, can we get on that?
Yeah. If Kiedis is listening, if Anthony Kiedis is listening, we're putting in a good word.
Yeah, hey,
Anthony.
Tony, give us a call, Tony.
It was a call.
First name basis.
So tell me about the new song. What's it about? How did it happen? Slow tempo, mid tempo, up tempo?
So this is actually a song that Shredding Heights had actually worked on for a long time. Shredding Heights, was the previous project that Garrett and I and our former guitar player Evan worked on for years and years before Float Like a Buffalo. So we've been working on this song Sunday afternoon for years and years. We tossed it around and played it here, played it there, never threw down a recording of it or anything, and brought it up in practice one day as an idea of how can we improve this? And it went. Came up with some different lyrics and some different themes for the chorus and stuff like that. And, stuck with the same original feel as kind of more of a slower mid-tempo kind of reggae, little more feels to it than our usual high energy stuff. Corey came in with some new lyrics and stuff, but it was the brainchild of our former guitar player, Evan Crabtree. It was his original idea.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing it, and maybe you guys will let us play a little clip at some point on the show. That'd be cool.
Most definitely.
Should be out soon.
I think we got something though.
Yeah, should be out within the next couple days.
It actually kind of worked out really well
That
to
is
add to
soon.
what
Good.
Jay said. I'm sorry. It worked out really well to add to what Jay said with this song specifically, that we recorded it in quarantine, because it kind of seemed like so much of our stuff is so high energy that we never really had a place to put this when we played live. It just it felt like we went too far of a dip down into the slow energy that it was hard to bring it back up after that. So we didn't really play it live very often. And then we also discussed putting it on our first album too, and then we ended up going away from that idea as well. So we never really had a place to put this one, and then all of a sudden it was like, do we want to record it? And what would be a good song to record while we're all separated, and how could we do that? And this song came up, and it turned out really well. It was just kind of a happenstance of circumstance.
It changed a lot too. We gave kind of the bone to Corey too, and Corey reiterated with some really solid lyrics that kind of make you feel in place as to where the song is.
Yeah.
You threw some good lyrics that are relatable, and it's kind of just like a song based around like you kind of being in a hard moment, but like on a day that you can get through. But it's just one of those songs that makes you feel good in a way, but it's okay that you don't. And Corey wrote those lyrics accordingly. At least that's how I feel about it.
Thanks, Gare.
It's very relatable and relatable right now too, for sure.
It was also kind of at least for me, I mean, maybe it was the same for these guys, but it's kind of a different recording process because, you know, typically you're at a studio recording with everybody all in the same room, but that wasn't the case. It was like, hey, how's everyone's parts coming? It was really different.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Zoom's going to kick us out in a minute, so if we have to send out a new link, I will. But I'll try to send out a last question or two here. What's next for the band? You guys put out your debut in 2019, right? Early 2019, and you've been hitting it hard since then. What's next? What's in the next year and 5 years for the band?
I wish we knew. I know next thing we're gonna do is record another song while we're in quarantine. We're gonna do a song that we did at the Gothic. I think we're gonna bring in a lyrical rapper as well to do the lyrics, because the way we have it written is there's no lyrics. We'll do that, and we're just kind of piecing together an album. We decided we would do another album, but we're just gonna record it, you know, one song at a time, and hopefully have it ready by end of next year, and hopefully be back at Red Rocks as soon as we possibly can, and be back out on the road as soon as we can. And you know, until then, we're just gonna keep writing and keep perfecting it and making everything better.
Baby steps.
Yep.
And I think that we discovered during this little process here of doing our last little track online and things like that is that we have the ability to produce relatively high quality tracks on our own. And so, you know, that could result in an increase in frequency of our releasing of tracks and things like that. And so I think we've all realized, wow, I mean, we went through this recording process. It came out pretty good. We might be able to do a little bit of this on our own time, you know, and without dishing out the money. And so, you know, increasing release of content. And of course, the second we're allowed, we're trying to rock out the biggest stage we can, you know?
Absolutely. What makes you guys different from all the other funk rock bands out there? What makes you guys special? What's the intangible?
There's too much energy on stage. It is incredibly apparent that all of us love doing this. And I think that's what people come to see when they come to see us. And I honestly think that's true. Is sometimes you watch bands that look like they're mad to be on stage, and that will never be our show.
Yeah, good.
Most
I don't want to
pictures
go to that show.
taken of me at shows, I look like every time I laugh, I smile really big, my eyes go close. I just look like a weirdo in all the pictures because I'm just so happy to be there. And
where all those wrinkles are coming from.
Yeah, it is.
Jab.
See there?
I think to answer your question, I think we all enjoy what we're doing, and like we're just kind of doing it in a way that we've always wanted to do it. I know it's like kind of a beat around the bush kind of answer, but the fact of the matter is we kind of go up there ham like it's our last show we're going to play, and we just play it in such a way that it makes sense.
Yeah. Wonderful.
I know that probably doesn't make too much sense, but it makes sense to me.
If it makes sense to you and you're having fun, that's contagious. Is there anything else you guys want to add before we call it an evening?
Corey, you got anything?
No, just give us a like and a follow on Facebook. Check out our music. If you dig it, share it, man.
Look out for Sunday afternoon on Spotify, Apple Music. All that should be coming up in a couple weeks.
Oh, and then this coming Friday, we are airing our set from Red Rocks last year. It will be aired on the Rocky Mountain Virtual Music Festival.
Yes.
30, I believe. Yeah, 3:30.
Nice. And our manager is a champion of the light.
What's that?
Our manager is a champion of the light.
I'll add that. I'll add that in the show notes. Yes. And I'll make sure to get all your guys' socials links. Those are in the show notes and in the YouTube description. So for people listening, you can follow them on Facebook, or Instagram or Twitter or whatever else they have, you can go give them a like and a follow and check out their music on Spotify. And the new songs coming up. I've heard a range from a couple days to a couple weeks from the band, but we'll be ready for it when it happens.
Yeah. We should always just say like 3 months so that it comes up in 2 weeks and people are like, whoa!
Well, there it is. There it is. Well, I'm going to turn off the recording real quick, but stay on the line with me if you don't mind. Thank you guys very much for coming on the show. I sure appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks very much for having us.
Cheers, mate.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Float Like a Buffalo, for coming on the show. What a blast. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the next few months and the next few years with the group. It's a great group, great music, great guys, great gals. It's exciting stuff, and I'm enjoying following their career to see where it takes them. All right, I made you wait till the end of the episode. You had to listen to me gab, but now we have the premiere of the brand new single from Float Like a Buffalo titled Sunday Afternoon. Here it is, folks. Email me at middleclassrockstar@gmail.com. Let me know what you think about it. You can also reach me there for any hate mail, death threats, questions, comments, concerns, whatever, or suggestions for future show guests. I'm all ears. All right, let's jump in. Sunday Afternoon, Float Like a Buffalo.